Hello, everyone. It's Alicia.
And I'm Justine, and together we are Woo Manufacturing. So for this episode, we wanted to kind of keep the momentum of our last conversation about internships and the importance of internships and the impact on us. But then kind of flip it to the other side on mentorship, the value of mentorship. I know that I've had great mentors that have helped shape my direction and my professionalism. And then I also wanted to kind of pick Alicia's brain on the forms of mentorship that she likes to support and I don't know, directionality of even suggestions on how we can incorporate this more, because there's a lot of good knowledge that isn't bolstered and like passed on directly. And there's just a lot of benefit to make sure that people are truly connecting and learning from each other. I think it kind of kickstarts people and their career very well. So,
Yeah, mentorship is one that I get really excited and passionate about because I didn't have a ton of great mentors and had to figure a lot of stuff out myself, which is good, but somewhat lonely and maybe not the best situation. So, yeah, I think mentorship is something that people should be seeking, and then people that gain experience in their career should spend some time, make some effort to mentor people, because that's how the world goes round.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a wealth of information, I know there's some really smart cookies out there who get kind of frustrated trying to pass on or bring other people up to speed. But the little bit of time that you invest in another person can make them a really kick-ass worker, and that brings them up and overall um, makes the team just more functional and makes the team higher achievers and more empowered. So it's just good all around.
Yeah, and I mean, you're paying it forward. And even for people that have ego, I mean, mentoring people is great for your ego too, because you're actually able to pass on all the things that you know. So everybody should be
Mm-hmm.
excited about mentoring. It's not a waste of time. It doesn't even take that much time, and it's super rewarding because you're actually seeing somebody benefit from it and grow in their career because you took a moment to give them some nuggets of information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another kind of hubris concept of we, when you are the teacher, it helps you understand the subject even more.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so it's wins all around. It does take time, does take energy. Sometimes, especially when I've had instances where production is down, we gotta all hands on deck, this, that, and the other. And when you don't take the time to align and you don't have the team working together and you don't um, give people some of the uh, tidbits of truth that save them time, the whole team loses time. So
Yeah.
it feels like a time suck, but it's truly not once you get to the other side of having, yeah, just good workers. So um,
Exactly.
I know that I can think of a couple of mentors just off the top of my head. One of which was a mentor I had with an internship when I was still in college, and she and I still actually talk and keep in touch,
Great.
and she's really cool. She's kept me up to date on the company that we used to work for. She's now no longer working there. She's actually pivoted her career, which is a wonderful step for her. And she was just helpful for perspective, right? Because I am a hard worker and I can get frustrated when I don't feel like other people are moving as quickly as I want to move, or
Yeah.
if they're not working on the things that want them to work on. Um, and she gave great perspective of, well, people have a lot to do in their jobs, and sure, this one thing seems like it could take this time, but there's a lot that other people are also going through. And so, not telling me to slow down per se. She liked the fire, she liked
Hmm.
the productivity, but just kind of quelling or turning down the heat on people, because you gotta be a supportive team member. You instead of being like, "Where is this?" You can say, is there anything that's blocking you that I can help you with? Or is there any
Right.
information that I didn't supply that has you spinning your wheels? Or she was good of a perspective reset, which was great.
Wait, we're not supposed to just assume they're all worthless and be pissed off?
I mean, you can do that, and that's how you get to be CEO, but no, sorry, that was snarky. No, and it's like it's one of those things where you also feel like on some level you're like, oh, I'll lead by example. If I'm working hard, other people work hard around me. It's like that's might not be true. Like there's just other ways to motivate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did get broken up with by a boyfriend, for calling a coworker worthless. So that's pretty funny.
The boyfriend dumped you because you confided in him about a coworker being worthless.
Yeah, I think it was the term worthless that really bothered him. And I said, "Well, I don't think they're a terrible person. I just like in the context of work are pretty worthless." Like I think that's fairly okay to say.
It's
Sure
like
they're a great
maybe okay,
dad, husband, whatever.
what if they're not worthless, but they're just worthless to me?
Right.
Does that make it better?
Right. Right. It doesn't matter. Whatever. So dumb. Uh, anyway, I
Uh,
digress. So, what do you think with that particular mentor or any of the other ones made them a good mentor to you? Like what stood out?
Um, I think, for starters, I could see them as they were managing multiple people, and the best mentors that I've had, approach management different for different workers. Um, I don't take direct orders very well. I also don't like being told how something should be done. I like
Mhm.
being given all the context of a problem and, um and maybe the scope of my work and then letting me go play. Let me
Yep.
figure it out. Let me touch the problem. Let me meet more of the team. Let me ask the questions that I need to wrap my head around. Like, obviously, I want you to give me the valuable information, but I don't want you to tell me how to think.
Mhm.
Um, there are other people who um, it is like earth shattering for them when they're left to their own devices and they have no encouragement, they have no follow up. Um, and it makes them feel really shut down and dejected, right? So, something that works really well for me wouldn't work for a different team member.
Yep.
And my favorite managers and mentors have been able to balance those things. And that's also just not the only two types of workers. There's many different personality types, and there's many different contexts of um, what helps people succeed.
Yeah, and I that's perfect. And I think that's maybe what makes it hard for some engineers to become mentors is because you're not just sharing everything that you know. To be a good mentor, you're actually learning what the person wants to do, how they like to operate, how they work, all of that, just like you're a leader. So it's really the same thing. So you have to kind of custom tune how you interface with your mentee based on what works for them. And to
Mhm.
me, that's what makes a good mentor. And it's not always easy if you don't have a lot of experience with that. But I guess you got to start somewhere.
Truly, yeah. And actually, one of my favorite managers, he was telling me that he wasn't a very good manager when he started being a manager, right? It took years of experience. It doesn't just happen. I think some people come into it more naturally than others, but being kind to yourself as well, because if you do have a wealth of knowledge and perspective, um, and you're sociable, you're likely to get moved into a management role, um, whether you're stoked on it or not. But uh, it's a skill that takes honing and Maybe also just being open to feedback.
Mhm.
I have failed at this in the past where when somebody's genuinely coming at let's hit a resolve, and let's like it doesn't need to be conflict, it needs to be um this isn't working for certain reasons. And if you as a manager or a mentor can hear from your direct reports and your mentees um, what is and isn't working for them, it helps you better understand and have that feedback loop of we're all just trying to get to a better place. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily needing to come from a, oh, I'm doing something badly. It's like, no, we could be doing something better.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think probably what you hit on there also is just kind of the trust between a mentor and a mentee, and
Hmm.
that's gonna go a long ways as well. So it's not always about this needs to be formal, this needs to be like I'm your boss. It's more of let's chat. Like let's chat about personal things. Let's find out what makes you tick, but also let's talk about, where you want to go in your career and what things are happening day to day, and then naturally figuring out ways to be like, "Oh, have you thought about thinking of it like this?" Or asking directly, "How can I help you?" and vice
Hmm.
versa. And I think mentors can learn a lot from mentees as well, just like leaders can learn from their employees.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, I love that you bring up the point of asking, where do you want to go, right? How are you wanting to grow? Or what makes you excited? I mean, a job's a job, right? They pay you to be there, but you there are aspects of your job that you actually enjoy, that if a manager can recognize that, then those things can be better allocated, right? I mean, like, dumb example, but in college, my roommates and I all had weekly cleaning tasks, and some of the roommates liked doing some of the tasks. We would like cycle them. Like one
Mhm.
person's on kitchen, one person's on bathroom, da 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 da. And like one chick loved doing the bathrooms, and everybody else was like, "Fine, have them." So, and she did a great job. She plugged in, she did the bathroom. It was great. And then we didn't have to do it. So
That's
if you can
amazing.
if you can get somebody to do something that you don't like bolster that and support that, you're like, hell yeah, I
Exactly.
think you should definitely do those things. Like some people love tuning equipment, some people aren't good at it and waste a bunch of resources and product. Like you just need to learn these things.
Exactly. And I'm glad you have examples of good mentors, because I look back and I'm like, I really didn't have many. I mean, I think
Mm,
that I I've often been just a sole controls engineer or the manager of a controls engineering team where the the person that's my boss doesn't really even understand automation. So it's kind of challenging to be able to grow from a technical perspective from bosses that don't really understand what you're doing. So I've had that a lot. Occasionally I had bosses that would, I guess, step into that mentorship role and show an interest in my growth and kinda help me with different tactics to speak to executives, for instance, which I'm really crappy at, because I'm too honest and I tell the truth and all that. But, teach you methodologies to, "Hey, I think you could look better to your peers, which would support you getting promoted in the future if you learned how to talk to people better, and here are some tactics." So from a personality, like, soft skills perspective, I think I've had some mentorship over the years, but, like, from a technical, it really has been lacking, and so maybe that's why I'm so obsessed with mentorship and why I think it's super crucial, and I've picked up mentees as much as I can because I just haven't had a good experience.
yeah, yeah. You're like, I will be the change I want to see in the world. So,
Yeah, exactly.
do you what are some examples of you doing mentorship?
Yeah, so, I mean, I even to this day, I have a lot of people that ask me for career advice, whether and talk them through certain things at work. So whether it's somebody that is just a person that I met and then they're like, "Hey, I have a niece that has a or is getting an engineering degree and she wants to talk to some people from industry, or a previous person that worked for me, or a previous intern, they'll come to me and get my advice on a role, or talk to me about their career development, that sort of thing. So for me, it's just taking the time to share my experiences. I guess at this point I have tons of experiences and I've seen a lot. So I'm able to kind of take somebody's situation and be like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I've run into this before, and kind of here's what's worked and here's what absolutely hasn't worked." So there's been plenty of like, "Don't do this. This will be bad." And so that's where it kind of comes into mentorship, is one of those things that you have to have that experience and that lived knowledge to really be a good mentor. So one of the things that I like to do when I had a team was pair up any engineer that's like on level or below, like a junior engineer or a regular level controls engineer, and pair them up with like a senior staff principal engineer. Because again, we talked about the mentor learning from the mentees. So some of these principal engineers, they maybe have never led or mentored people, so they're getting growth out of having this relationship, and they're being held accountable to how well they're able to bring up that other person. And then that other person, the younger, more green engineer, has a guaranteed person they can go to that's outside of their boss, where they can just be like, "Hey, I'm kind of stuck on this thing." And, hopefully they gain a good relationship where it's easy and they trust each other. And you kind of have to check in on that, but you just don't want it to be transactional, and you just want to give people a space to grow. So that's something that I've been really passionate about, is making sure that, my employees gain mentorship some way or another.
No, that's great. I think I remember you structuring teams like that, and that just makes so much sense. I'm surprised more people don't do it, because now you're not even setting up like a whole separate program per se. You're just structuring a team to have almost like a buddy system.
It's a buddy system.
Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I even talked to friends who their experience at work, maybe they're a direct report to somebody who's really high up on the chain, and they don't have good rapport with them to provide feedback. And so now you don't have any sort of buffer or any sort of um I don't know, camaraderie or somebody to confide in when you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling this way. Do you have any advice for dealing with this situation?" Um
Right.
uh yeah, no, that's a really solid way of approaching it. Um
I tried to pitch that to the HR department, the same HR department that said we can't have a women in engineering group because it'll make the men feel left out. And I was told no, that somebody else would handle the mentorship program, and I was kind of crushed. But that's okay, because even if a company doesn't have a mentorship program, there's nothing stopping you from seeking a mentor or seeking mentees.
mhm.
And I think that's another point that I want to make, is even if you don't have a mentor that's in your space or holds the same job path as you can still get mentorship from other people. So I've had a mentor that was a VP of chemical engineering, for instance. And although he didn't understand controls or my world completely, he was still able to coach me on things to do on the technical front, as well as more of the soft skill fronts to grow. So that, you sometimes have to seek your mentors outside of your direct department or leadership, I guess is my
Yeah,
point.
absolutely. And it doesn't have to be stiff conversation or anything. It doesn't have to be like, I'm looking for somebody to latch on to. It's like, no, it's just like, I really respect the work that you do, and I would like to learn more professionalism and how you conduct yourself and things like that. And sometimes, yeah, you're lucky if your manager is somebody who is personable and cares about your growth, and makes that clear. And sometimes that's not what your manager is, and you don't get to pick these things, but you do get to pick who you like have lunch with and who you reach out to. And
Mhm.
um, I think I'd be super flattered if somebody was interested in learning from me. I'm not at a state where I would feel particularly knowledgeable enough to actually actively help and educate somebody. Um, Aside from like, folks who are in college still and looking for first jobs or some kind of directionality. But um, yeah, I don't know if it would feel embarrassing to somebody to reach out for this, but if whoever you like and want to learn from is as cool as you perceive them to be, I think they would receive it really well, even in a non-formal mentorship way.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'm sure there's people out there that are like, I don't have time, or I don't
I
feel
have
like I can
time for
help
you,
you.
kid.
Yeah, but that would be, yeah, I think most people would be pretty happy and honored. And also, I just have to say, you piss me off when you say stuff like that, Justine. Like, oh, I can't offer anybody anything kind of thing.
No,
Because I
no.
literally saw you multiple times help a lot of people in the areas you had expertise, and you are so much better than that. It doesn't
No,
matter
I'm not.
how young you are.
This is not trying to like reach out for like, oh, I don't feel pretty today. Like, I'm not asking for
I
compliments. I'm
know.
just saying that like I'm like I, I don't know. It's not like I can't rattle off uh build structure, design, specs, yeah, tolerancing, torque stack, da 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 da, right? But like, um, uh, uh, presenting your ideas to a variety of audiences. Sometimes our really technical folks get bogged down in explaining their thinking on something, and depending on the audience, it's like you don't need to explain all the thinking. They trust your thinking. That's why
Mhm.
you're giving the answers. You just need to give like the directionality and maybe like be
Yeah.
prepared to say more, but say less at first. To
Yep.
non-technical folk who just want like, is this a good idea or is this not a good idea? Why?
Mhm.
Anyhow,
Yeah, and
but
I think the other point on that too is like it doesn't always, you don't always have to know all those things that you need to rattle off, or know something super technical either. Maybe you're just really good at something. Okay, you're really good at training operators, or you're really good at explaining things to the CEO or whatever. I mean, those are valid reasons to also seek mentorship. And you
for
don't have to
sure.
put all your eggs in one basket either. You can literally have this mentor over here that helps me on the technical side, and this mentor over here teaches me how to talk nice to people, or whatever it is.
For sure. For sure. And yeah, if you see something in a coworker of yours that you really appreciate, even if you don't go out of your way to learn learn from them because you ask for it, even just stating that you appreciate somebody's work is a great way of making a team really happy and comfortable together.
For sure.
So even if it's not mentorship, but just gassing each other up, I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't do that enough, especially in this day and age, is going out of your way to compliment somebody when you see something great. I think that we need more of that.
Yeah, I think positivity in general, there's some level of you want to maintain professionalism. And what you are complimenting needs to be based off of work. It needs to not be based off of anything that can be misconstrued in a different way. But yeah, positivity goes a long way. Um, the energy that you put out improves areas, which is also why my mentor early on noting that um, appreciating other people's value and trying to see their work experience from their perspective goes a long ways to not get bogged down in your own problems and make you frustrated with the team. Uh,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
um,
I also got so I was part of a mentorship program through my college at one point, like, and this was maybe 5-7 years ago, something like that. And that was kind of strange. Like, I was super excited about it, but there was no connection. So I met with this student and we met on a Zoom call or whatever, but it was just super hard to connect because this is a college student and I don't think she had had any internships or anything like that. And I it's really I didn't know how to connect with her. I didn't even know really how to help her other than explain like what my job is and what I do. But I mean, that could have just been an email. So I think that there is some sort of level of requirement of being on the same page, working in the same industry, being physically near each other, having common goals. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was just a strange one. And there has to be some level of connection for a mentorship to work.
For sure. Yeah. If you're not jibing, you can't necessarily force it, which is, did you ever have situations like that when you did your own non-formal mentor mentee partnering of teams? If
Like people
people
not
aren't,
vibing.
yeah, if they don't vibe, is it just like, okay, we're gonna go back to this, or do you just kind of give a little guidance so that they're both continuing to learn and connect?
Yeah, I mean, I think that every once in a while you are just going to get a connection that just doesn't work because people
Mm-hmm.
just don't communicate the right way or whatever. And in those cases, you do need to f- change it up. You need to
Yeah,
change who that partnership is. But sometimes it is literally just something silly and miscommunication or discomfort on the mentor's part,
mm-hmm.
or the mentee just not opening up. And so, yeah, I mean, sometimes there would have to be some intervention. And I like what Sweta said, and when we chatted with her about how her mentors are being held accountable for their mentorship ability. So,
Mm,
a mentor may not know how to mentor, but they should then be developed as a mentor because it is a different skill set and then be held accountable for that. And not to like make it added pressure because you want that mentorship thing to be natural for it to be the best. But I think that judging somebody on how well they are able to bring up their mentee is important. It's a bit sensitive how you do that.
for sure. Yeah, accountability doesn't have to be a dirty word. It can be
Mm.
done in a really healthy way that helps all sides of the growth opportunity.
Yeah, and so I'm just trying to figure out like how to promote more mentorship. And I don't know that it should be an HR function, but it'd be nice if companies at least offered the ability for people to sign up and say, "Hey, I want a mentor," and then have a handful of people that actually want a mentor, so you can like, pair people up like you're doing blind dating or something like that. I
Hmm.
don't know how else to do it. Maybe community events if you have enough people in the area that are all in STEM, where it's like a little mixer, and then, approach people and say, "Will you be my mentor?" I don't know. Do you have any ideas on what would work?
Um, yeah, the professional groups are obviously a fantastic place to start. If you are um, green to a space and you want to meet with people who have been doing things for a long time, I know that they have, women in science um, and more STEM outreach things. Um, I think part
That's
of
a
that
good
is
point.
actually opting into it, right? Because
Mhm.
there's things that you can just get onto a mailing list, but if you never actually go to the happy hours and you never actually go to the trivia nights, then you're obviously not going to fully connect.
Yeah.
Um, um, and I think it can happen organically, right? I had internships and I just continued to talk to those mentors, but through those mentors, I met other people. And if you are a knowledgeable person, reaching out for opportunities to share that information, because I think the disconnect is just that once you graduate and you get into the grind of working, you kind of forget about college students, you forget about young engineers, because you just want to put your head down and do your own things. But there certainly are more formal groups to do that. I do like that you shoot your shot when it comes to pitching an idea to HR. I don't know if HR is actually the right direction, because I wouldn't want it to feel so formal and clunky. Because I agree, it's like more of the actual connection between workers that kind of is the secret sauce, right? Because you're gonna trust who you're working with, or they might not even be in your team, and you're certainly not a direct report to them, and that's when you can actually connect. But the HR team is kind of responsible for protecting the company. They aren't necessarily responsible for knowing teams well enough to structure them. So maybe even just advocacy of if a VP of engineering says, for our group, we're going to start doing this. Provide feedback, provide ideas, make the function, like, have everyone opt into it, if that makes sense. Like, if you can have other people generate ideas and have a bit of ownership and a bit directionality of how things go and how people get to connect, then I think that's a win. So, like, it takes a little bit of higher ups doing it, but I think that you can grassroots it as well if you're looking for it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I think the HR piece is more about helping, being okay with it, because I think the mentorship,
like, not shutting it down is a
not
big thing.
shutting it down. Yeah, because if you're thinking about, like, how do we reach all the people, the shy, quiet, younger engineers might not even go to a mentorship event because they're uncomfortable or quiet or nervous. So I think, to me, it's like, how do we get the best exposure and allow these things to happen during work time so that the mentors are more likely to do it and give people, the ability to prioritize that, because it is all part of development. And ultimately, if you get mentorship going, then you're going to grow the internal resources within your company in a positive direction. So that's kind of where my head was at.
Right. And with enough momentum, it turns into culture. So, like, a new hire just enters into a space where people are communicative. They're looking for mentees. Because I'm sure some people really like it. Other people might be a little kind of curmudgeon-y and set in their ways. And that's just, once again, a growth opportunity. But once you get over the activation energy, to have it be more culturally, then it doesn't feel so, like, formal or clunky. It's just like, oh, this is what we do here. Which actually, it's nice that you mentioned Smith, because it sounds like that was her experience, that it was a semi-formalized thing, but it was just like, no, we like doing this. We like having your feedback. We want you to ask us questions. This is how we grow. This is how you grow. And that's great.
Yeah, that sounded very cultural too, which I really appreciated. So a lot more natural.
Yeah.
Oh, but and not, like, really random, but super relevant. I got a text from one of my clients saying he was going to add hours for me to be able to mentor someone on his team. And I'm like, cool. Like, obviously I love mentoring, but to get paid then for it too? Like, all right.
Yeah. You're like, I was throwing this shit out for free, like a dummy, just trying to build the next generation and drum up interest in controls like a schmuck.
I could have been getting paid for this all along.
You should have been paid. Monetize. Actually, that's how you drum up interest. You start monetizing it, and then you suck the soul out of it, and then everyone has it required, and you start doing classes, and you make it super dry and corporate. That's how you get this shit done.
Oh gosh, kill me now.
Suck the soul out of it. Stop feeling so much.
Do you have any final thoughts, Justine, on the mentorship topic before we bounce?
Not so much. It is something that I think is near and dear to your heart because you're actively pursuing it. And from my end, it's one of those things where I've benefited from it. So I kind of want to put my energy back into the space where the opportunities arise. And it comes in many forms. So good.
Yes. I love mentorship. Go be a mentor.
Be a mentor.
Go ask for mentors. Don't be shy.
If somebody's cool, tell them they're cool and maybe they'll help you.
Exactly. Until next time.
Yeah, you take care.
You too. Bye.